What hasn't been said about the Mazda Miata? It's the best-selling sports car in the world. Miata is always the answer for so many people out there, and it's become so damn popular and so damn cliche to have a Mazda Miata. Over 1 million Miatas were built since the launch of the model in 1989. It's the quintessential Japanese-British roadster. Way back in the 1980s, when Mazda was developing the Miata, they were heavily inspired by the British roadsters of the 60s and 70s. They were drawn to the four-cylinder engines, the manual transmissions, rear-wheel drive formula, top-down, tossable, light, fun in the twisties. Mazda was never aiming to develop a straight-line performance car. They were focusing on the fun aspect of the vehicle. They wanted it to be top-down. They wanted it to be as fun as possible in the twisties. They wanted it to be affordable, which it is now, but you know, the new Miata is still a $45,000 car, which is a lot of money for a four-cylinder sports car. But at the same time, it is one of the most fun vehicles you can ever have in your garage, and I own one. This is my Mazdaspeed Miata. This car brings me so much joy every time I get in the driver's seat. It's small, it's light, it's tossable. The steering is sharp, the turning is incredible. It's rear-wheel drive, so it will get a bit squirmy in the turns if you push it too hard. Listen to that engine and the turbo! Woohoo! The wind in my hair. What more do you want from this vehicle? What more do you want from a fun car that is maybe not your primary vehicle, but it's definitely a Sunday warrior, as they call these. And out of all the Miatas, this is the one to have. This is the ultimate Miata. This is the most special Miata in my opinion. The only turbocharged model. They only made these from 2004 to 2005, and all the other Miatas have been naturally aspirated. This one in particular, it has Bilstein shocks from factory. It has the turbocharger from factory. It's pushing around 180 horsepower, and the way it delivers the power is absolutely hilarious. You mash the throttle and nothing happens until, and yes, we're off. And then you let off the gas pedal and it just goes. It is the most hilarious car to drive with the dinky little 180 horsepower four-cylinder engine. It is so much fun just because of how dramatic the power delivery is. Oh man, the Bilstein shocks make it so flat and controllable. There's no surprises in what it's doing. You're never surprised. You know exactly what's going to happen. And it lets you push it to the limit. And it's so predictable even at the limit. The rear end steps out just a little bit. Just lift off a little correction and we're good. It is so controllable and so predictable. The one thing that I would want out of this car is probably more power, and that is just the overall general consensus, the overall general complaint about these cars is they are not fast whatsoever, and they're not meant to be fast, and they're meant to be reliable and approachable and fun. And the Miata is what they call a momentum car. Momentum car meaning that It is very good at maintaining the speed that it's at, but it's not that great at getting up to that speed. It is pretty slow on acceleration, but when it's already up to speed and you're tossing it into the corners and twisties, it is so good at holding those corners. You don't have to do burnouts to have a giant grin on your face. This car does it with a measly 180 horsepower and a decent driver behind the wheel. And while the slightly unhinged version of MockALove is enjoying the southern Ontario roads, why don't we look around the car itself? Visually, the Mazdaspeed Miata does not differ that much from a regular M&B Miata. The main differences would be the splitter at the front, the little spoiler at the back, this cute little diffuser at the back. But the main differentiator would be the Mazdaspeed Miata logo at the back, right next to the right tail light, because you obviously cannot fake that one. The biggest differentiator, in my opinion, is these 17-inch Racing Heart wheels that came with the car from the factory. And let me tell you, these wheels are just unnecessarily expensive on the used market. These go in a good condition for over $3,000 for the set, and that just seems, well, for lack of a better word, a little unreasonable. Now, in the interior, you will not really see anything that special. It's a nice, cute little interior. Your basic 90s Mazda stuff. You get your Bose stereo. You get the CD player, which is fancy. You get your rear defrost. You get your fan, and this button right here. Well, it really hurts me to say, but this button right here in this particular Miata is empty, and it's probably the most important button in the entire car, and it's missing. In most other Mazdaspeed Miatas, this would be the shut up, bird. Jesus. Fuck you too, man. Anyways, this button is the most important button in any car, in my opinion, and that is the AC button. This car, because Canadian model, it did not come with AC from factory, and this was a dealer installed option that you would have to opt for and pay for, of course. And the owner, the original owner of the car, did not pay for it, so the car did not come with AC. And on any day that's hotter than 27 degrees Celsius, this car, it gets very unpleasant to drive, and you just melt, and it kind of defeats the purpose, to be honest, of a roadster, in my opinion. But on a day like this, when it's 23 degrees outside, it's absolute perfection. Absolute perfection. You can quote me on that. In the Mazdaspeed, you get your silver gauges, you get your fuel gauge, your tachometer, your oil pressure gauge, your coolant temperature, and your speedometer. You see your odometer at the bottom. Nothing fancy, very basic 90s stuff. Here you get your side mirror regulators, and you also get your electric window regulators as well. Your two cup holders, the first one serves as a ashtray as well, which is really neat. In this particular application, it serves as a coin holder, but when you pull it out, it also serves as a cup holder, and it's pretty shallow for most drinks, so it's not as useful as you would like it to be. And the second cup holder as well, it's more deep, and it looks like it has a cutout for a handle. Right? If I'm getting this right, this looks like it would be for a mug handle. So you can even have mugs in here, which, well, I mean, how can I put this? Unnecessary. Yeah, that's the right word. Both of the cup holders are in a very inconvenient spot right here. So as you're shifting, you're basically hitting both of the drinks with your elbow or your forearm, and it does not really serve for a very pleasant driving experience, especially if you had a scalding hot cup of coffee in one of the cup holders. You get your armrest storage compartment here, which is naturally filled with older seats and other trash. You would lift the trunk. You'd pop the trunk with this lever right here, with a very satisfying clunk, just like so. Pretty heavy lever too, very mechanical. No electronics here. And you would also pop the gas cap with this one, which is even harder. You need to put your whole shoulder into it. And my absolute favorite part of this interior is this tiny little gear shifter. The throws are short and notchy. It's so satisfying to roll through the gears, and you feel the gears interlapping with each other on every option and every downshift. I could not have wished for better gear shift in there, for better transmission for this car, to be honest, in my humble personal opinion. My other favorite part of this interior is the 3 aluminum plated pedals, especially the gas pedal. When you press on the gas pedal, I can feel the throttle cable being pulled. I know there are no electronic aids. I know there is no fly-by-wire system. There's nothing to prevent me from revving up this engine. There's no delay. As soon as I put my foot down, as the tiniest of the inputs on the gas pedal, it already results in the tachometer arm going up, and the engine basically revving up as soon as I touch the pedal, even so slightly. It's so sensitive, and I love it. It really helps you to dial in those throttle inputs. It's an absolute, again, just like the transmission, just like the shifter, is an absolute joy to use. The clutch is light and forgivable. It's a fantastic place to be. And one thing that I cannot believe that I forgot to include is this little antenna. Check this out. It materializes out of thin air. Turn it off, and it's going right back down. Under the hood, we have a 1.8 liter 4-cylinder single turbo engine that puts out around 177 horsepower and propels this car from 0 to 100 at around 6.7 seconds, which is not fast by any means, but at the same time, the power delivery is so much fun that it's an absolute blast to just mash the gas pedal and wait for like 3 seconds for that turbo to kick in and just shove you forward. It's a fun little thing. It's a damn fun little thing. I'm also absolutely in love with this wrinkle red valve cover. It just makes the whole engine bay look so much better than the regular MB Miatas. Everything is exposed. You can see everything here, the throttle cable, everything. Everything is exposed, easy to work on, and you've probably seen a lot more of this engine bay and the casualties with the local animals in my engine cleaning video. One thing I absolutely hate about this car is just where the oil filter is placed. And it's the most ridiculous, unreasonable placement of the oil filter. It's on the side of the engine. On the side of the engine right here. In there. I don't know if you can see it in the slide, but it's on the side of the engine. It's not on the bottom. It's not easily accessible. It's on the side. And all you can do is you can fish your arm in there without actually seeing where your hand is going, and you can undo it, and you can try your best to save yourself from spills, from oil spills, but that's not going to work, because as soon as you unscrew it, you don't even have a second hand to hold anything up there. And I tried to squeeze in my other hand with a paper towel, but naturally there's too much oil there, so it spills all over the place, and you make a giant mess, and it's all the way up to your forearms. Why, Mazdas? This is the dumbest position, the dumbest location for an oil filter, man. God. And now that we've looked around the entire car, I'm going to pass the camera to the Sugar Rush MockALove for the rest of the video. Quite a lot of people I hear complain about the manual transmission, the 6-speed, this particular 6-speed, because of how short the gears are and how the first gear is so short that it's kind of useless. When you mash it from a standstill, you only have maybe 3 seconds to shift into the second gear, and then you kind of lose all the momentum, and then you have to build up the boost, the turbocharger boost again. And it is not a very good 0 to 100 car at all. It thrives above 4,000 RPM, and when you mash the throttle, nothing happens for the first 2 to 3 seconds, and only then it starts picking up. I'm in third gear, 4,000 RPM, mash, and now we're, yeah, yes. I'm such an idiot, I'm giggling like a little girl. And you hear the turbo spool up, you hear that swoosh, that whistle, that is so satisfying. And then you let go of the throttle, and you just hear that, there's so much drama while going 70 kilometers an hour. That's what I love about this car most. You don't have to break the speed limit to have the most fun, just to squeeze the juices out of this engine, squeeze the hell out of this car. And you guys are lucky because I'm doing this review before any modifications, really. The only modification that was done to the car was just the cone of the intake, which is pretty much stock, and then the axle back MagnaFlow exhaust, which I bought the car with, but then I installed a silencer because it was a bit too drony, it was a bit too annoying, and you know, my sensitive little bitch ears, they like to have a little bit more taste in the exhaust note. And now it sounds absolutely perfect. It sounds very time appropriate, which is, dare I say, the 90s. This is a 2005 car, and you might be wondering, how the hell would I call this a 90s car? The technology is very much 90s technology. It's the same engine as the NA Miata from the 1989 all the way until 1997, I believe, or 98. It's pretty much the same engine, it's pretty much the same car underneath with minor tweaks and minor improvements and a different shell, a bit more modern shell at the time. And overall, it's a very 90s car. Maybe their interior is a little bit updated. The Bose stereo, which is awesome for what it is, it's fantastic. The CD player, obviously, you know, is the thing of the 2000s, you know, the new millennium. That's pretty much it. Yeah, these turn signal stocks look like they're straight out of the 80s. They look like they don't even look like they're in the 90s. That's straight up the 80s. They don't fit this interior at all, and they flick with this adorable clunk to them. Like you pull it up and you just hear this clunk, and it's some of the best stuff from the 90s. This 4-cylinder 1.8 liter engine that is just bulletproof. You can throw anything at it, and with the turbo, with a small turbo attached to it, man, it's a riot, dude. It's a complete riot. I know you've heard this from me before, but I'm completely in love with this car. I got a very good deal on it, and I was in the right time at the right place, and I pulled the trigger. It was a rebuild title, so I got a very good deal on it, but it's a very clean vehicle, very well repaired, recertified and everything. It's a very clean overall car, and I cannot be happier with it. I got it for pretty much 30% less than what it usually goes in the market right now. I got it with 103,000 kilometers, fresh, no rust. It's just a very clean example, and I am very lucky to have it. Very lucky to have it. I don't think I'm selling it anytime soon, even though I'm kind of a car prostitute, for the lack of a better word. But I see myself keeping this car for a long time. My only complaint, my only gripe with the car is, I think it's just, I wish it had a little bit more oomph, a little bit more power, just a little bit more speed, just a teeny tiny bit. And I wish that the turbo lag, as dramatic and as exciting as it is, I wish it wasn't as wide, and I wish it wasn't as long. I wish the turbo kicked in much quicker, and I wish it was a little more angry off the line, because off the line and for the first couple seconds of the pedal to the metal, not much is happening. And while it is fun, I wish the turbo spooled up a little quicker and was just a little sharper as far as acceleration goes. Overall, I think the car would be absolutely perfect if it had somewhere around 250 horsepower. I think that would be the magic number for this car, just bumping another 60 to 70 horsepower, and I think it would be absolute perfection. I don't think it would need any more with its low weight of what, 12 to 1300 kilometers, kilograms. I will convert it into pounds for the American viewers here. But yeah, I think with the weight, with the size, I think 250 horsepower would be absolutely ideal, and I don't think it would need any more. If I were to describe the Mazda Miata in one little paragraph, it would be that girl in the room that would never be your first choice, but then she says hello, and you don't even notice how you spend the last 4 hours talking about everything and anything to only come home, and by the time you get into your bed, to realize that you are madly in love and you cannot get her out of your mind. This is the kind of car that will not impress you with the straight line performance, will not impress you with the interior, it won't impress you with the looks. The new one looks pretty good, I won't lie, but it's just kind of endearing looking, but it's nothing special, it's nothing striking. But when you start driving it, and when you throw into your first corner, and when you bring it out on a road like this, when you bring it out into this environment, that's when your whole opinion will change on the Mazda Miata. And there's a lot of guys that are like, oh, it's a hairdresser's car, it's a car for pussies, it has no power, we need an American V8, hasta la vista. But this is not the car for them. This is a car for people that love little 4-cylinders and love tossing their little sports cars in corners and not care about how many tires it treads. That's not the point. It is so hard not to fall in love with Mazda Miata. These blobby little eyes and this adorable little smile. It's always happy to see you. It's like a little puppy, you know, you come out and it's wiggling its tail and it's begging you, drive me, roll through the gears, rev me up, let's go for a rip, I'm ready, woof. And you just cannot help but smile when you see it, and when you get in it and you throw in your first corner, you will understand all the appeal if you are not a believer just yet. But yeah guys, that should be it for the video. Please smash the like button, subscribe, please. Subscription and a like, and maybe even a notification bell. It will mean the world to me. It really will mean the world to me. You probably can't even imagine how much joy it brings me seeing you guys being engaged and commenting and liking my videos. And like, I see that you guys are engaged and you're watching and you guys have your opinions to share. Comment, throw in a comment down below. It will always be very appreciated, guys. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next video. There's more stuff to come. I'm working hard on making a regular schedule for the video uploads. I'm working hard, trust me guys. I have a full-time job, and there's a lot of life opportunities and life circumstances that always get in the way, but I'm doing my best to make this a regular upload schedule. We're gonna start with bi-weekly, and the goal is to get it to weekly, hopefully by the end of this year. That would be absolutely ideal. But yeah guys, thank you so much. I love y'all. Have a good one. Peace guys. I'll see you in the next one.